Hey everyone, welcome back to Max and Mia podcast.
Hi there. We're so happy you're joining us today.
So Mia, quick question for you and our listeners. Have you ever felt nervous before a job interview?
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone has at some point.
Well, here's the thing. Today, getting a job isn't just about showing up to an office anymore. More and more people are working remotely from home or anywhere in the world.
That's right. And that means something really important has changed. When you're not meeting face to face, the way you communicate and express yourself becomes absolutely essential.
Exactly. Your words, your tone, and how clearly you present your ideas can make or break an opportunity.
So today, we're doing something special, a mock job interview. We'll show you how to handle common interview questions and share tips to help you communicate confidently.
Whether you're interviewing in person, over video call, or even by phone, the skills we'll practice today will help you stand out.
Ready? Let's dive in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Great. I can see your video is off. Would you mind turning on your camera?
Oh, sure. Let me just... There we go. Can you see me now?
Yes, perfect. Okay, so welcome, Sophie. Thanks so much for taking the time to meet with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this opportunity.
Wonderful. Well, let's get started then. So, Sophie, I'd like to begin with something pretty straightforward. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background?
Of course. Well, I graduated about 3 years ago with a degree in marketing, and since then I've been working in digital marketing, specifically focusing on social media campaigns and content strategy.
Interesting. And what inspired you to choose this career path in the first place?
That's a good question. Honestly, I've always been fascinated by how brands communicate with people. I remember in university, I took this class on consumer behavior, and it clicked for me, you know? I realized I wanted to be part of creating those connections between companies and their audiences.
I see. That makes sense. Now, since this is a remote position and we work with international clients, I'd also like to know about your English. How did you learn it, and how confident do you feel using it in a professional setting?
Right. So I started learning English in school when I was pretty young, but I really improved it through watching series and movies without subtitles, and also by practicing with language exchange apps. These days, I feel quite confident using it at work. I actually communicate with clients in English on a daily basis, both in writing and in video calls, like this one.
That's great to hear. And speaking of communication, how would you usually describe your communication skills in general, not just in English, but overall?
Well, I'd say I'm a pretty clear communicator. I try to be direct, but also empathetic, especially when I'm working with a team. I think one of my strengths is that I'm good at adapting my communication style, depending on who I'm talking to, whether it's a creative team member or a client who's more focused on numbers and results.
Okay, that's really valuable in our line of work. Now, let's talk a bit more about your experience. Can you tell me about your most recent job or internship?
Sure. So my most recent position was as a digital marketing specialist at a mid-sized tech company. I was there for about 2 years.
And what were your main responsibilities there?
Well, my main focus was managing the company's social media presence across different platforms. I was responsible for creating content calendars, designing posts, analyzing engagement metrics, and also coordinating with the design team to make sure everything aligned with our brand identity.
Right, so quite a lot of coordination involved then.
Exactly, yeah. There was a lot of back and forth with different departments.
Mm-hmm. And looking back at that experience, what would you say you learned from it?
I learned so much, honestly, but I think the biggest thing was learning how to prioritize tasks when you have multiple projects running at the same time. Also, I became really good at interpreting data, like understanding what the numbers are actually telling you about your audience's behavior, not just looking at likes or comments.
That's a crucial skill. Data literacy is definitely something we value here. Now, speaking of challenges, can you describe a specific challenge you faced at work and how you handled it?
Oh, absolutely. So there was this one time when we launched a campaign, and about 2 days in, we noticed the engagement was way lower than expected. It was stressful because we had invested quite a bit of budget into it.
Oh, I can imagine. What did you do?
Well, first, I didn't panic, which was hard. I gathered the team and we analyzed what wasn't working. We realized our messaging wasn't resonating with our target audience, so we quickly adjusted the copy, changed some of the visuals, and retargeted the ads. Within a week, we saw engagement increase by about 40%.
Wow, that's impressive. So you basically had to pivot quickly under pressure.
Exactly. It taught me that flexibility is key.
Which actually leads me to my next question. How do you generally deal with pressure or stressful situations?
That's a good question. I try to break things down into smaller, manageable steps. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I make a list of priorities and tackle them one at a time. I also think it helps to take short breaks. Sometimes stepping away for 5 minutes actually helps you think more clearly, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to not burn yourself out. So one more thing I'd like to ask. In your opinion, what do you think makes someone successful in this type of role?
I think it's a combination of creativity and analytical thinking. You need to be creative enough to come up with fresh ideas, but also analytical enough to measure what's working and what isn't. And honestly, I think being adaptable is huge because trends change so fast, especially in digital spaces.
Right. The landscape is always evolving.
Exactly. If you're not willing to learn and adapt, you'll get left behind pretty quickly.
Well said. Now, let's shift gears a little bit. What would you say are your biggest strengths?
I'd say my biggest strength is probably my attention to detail. I'm the kind of person who double checks everything before sending it out. I also think I'm pretty good at problem solving. I like finding creative solutions when something isn't working as planned.
Those are definitely valuable traits. And on the flip side, what's one thing you'd like to improve about yourself?
Honestly, I sometimes struggle with delegating. I tend to want to do everything myself because I want to make sure it's done right. But I'm working on trusting my team more and understanding that delegation actually makes the whole team stronger.
Yeah, that's a common one, especially for people who care about quality. It's good that you're aware of it, though.
Yeah, awareness is the first step, right?
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this. How do you stay motivated when work gets repetitive? Because let's be honest, not every day is going to be exciting.
That's true. For me, I try to find small ways to make things more interesting. Like if I'm doing the same type of task over and over, I'll challenge myself to do it more efficiently or try a slightly different approach. I also remind myself of the bigger picture, how even the repetitive tasks contribute to the overall goals.
Keeping that perspective is important.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll just switch up my environment, work from a different room, put on different music, little things like that to keep my mind fresh.
That makes sense. Okay, last question in this section. How do you usually handle feedback or criticism?
Well, I try to see it as an opportunity to grow. I mean, it's not always easy to hear, especially if it's about something you've put a lot of effort into, but I've learned that feedback is really valuable. I usually take a moment to process it, ask clarifying questions if I need to, and then figure out how I can apply it moving forward.
That's a mature approach. Do you have an example of a time when feedback really helped you improve?
Yeah, actually. Early in my career, a manager told me that my presentations were too detailed and people were getting lost in the information. At first, I was a bit defensive because I thought more information was better, but then I realized she was right. So I started focusing on key takeaways and making things more visual. And honestly, my presentations became much more effective after that.
There you go. Perfect example of turning criticism into growth.
Thank you. I try.
All right, so we're getting close to the end here. I'd like to ask you, why do you want to work here specifically? What attracted you to this position?
Well, honestly, a few things. First, I really admire the company's focus on innovation and creativity. From what I've seen, you guys aren't afraid to try new approaches, and that's the kind of environment where I think I'd thrive. Also, the fact that this is a fully remote position is really appealing to me because it allows for flexibility while still being part of a collaborative team.
Yeah, we definitely value innovation here. It's good to hear that aligns with what you're looking for.
Absolutely. And I also like that you work with international clients. I think that diversity of perspectives makes the work more interesting.
It certainly does. Okay, next question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's always a tough one. I see myself in a leadership role, ideally managing a team and mentoring junior professionals. I'd love to be someone who helps others develop their skills while still staying hands-on with strategy and creative direction. I don't want to be completely removed from the actual work, you know?
Right, staying connected to the work itself.
Exactly. I think the best leaders are the ones who understand what their team is actually doing day to day.
I couldn't agree more. Now, what kind of work environment helps you do your best? Since we're remote, I'm curious how you think about this.
Good question. I think I do best in an environment where there's clear communication and trust. Like when expectations are clearly set, but I also have the autonomy to figure out how to meet them. I appreciate regular check-ins, but I don't need to be micromanaged. Also, I think having a supportive team where people feel comfortable sharing ideas and asking for help is really important.
Mm-hmm. Psychological safety, as they call it.
Yes, exactly that. When people feel safe to take risks and make mistakes, that's when the best work happens.
Well, I think you'll find we try to cultivate that kind of culture here. Okay, so we're just about at the end. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, actually. I'm curious, what does success look like in this role during the first 6 months? Like, what would you expect someone to achieve in that time frame?
That's a great question. Well, in the first 6 months, we'd want to see you getting comfortable with our systems and processes, building relationships with key team members, and starting to contribute ideas in team meetings. By month 6, ideally, you'd be managing at least one project independently.
That makes sense. And one more thing, how does the team typically collaborate on projects? Is it mostly asynchronous communication, or are there regular video meetings?
It's a mix, actually. We have a couple of team meetings per week via video call, but a lot of the day-to-day collaboration happens through messaging and shared documents. We try to be respectful of everyone's time zones and schedules.
Perfect. That sounds really balanced.
Great. Well, Sophie, I think that covers everything I wanted to ask today. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experiences with me.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Likewise. We'll be in touch soon with next steps.
Sounds good. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was our mock interview. What did you think, Mia?
I thought it was really insightful. But let's break down some key points that maybe weren't so obvious.
Definitely. So first thing I noticed, Sophie used a lot of what we call softening language. Did you catch that?
Oh, yes. Like when she said "I'd say" or "I think" before giving her opinions. That's actually really important in English-speaking work cultures.
Exactly. A lot of non-native speakers make the mistake of being too direct. They'll say, "My strength is attention to detail," instead of, "I'd say my biggest strength is probably attention to detail."
Right, and it's not about being unsure. It's about sounding professional and humble. There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance in English.
Another thing, did you notice how Sophie never gave one-word answers? Even simple questions got at least 2 or 3 sentences.
That's crucial. I see this mistake all the time. Someone asks, "How do you handle stress?" And people just say, "I stay calm," and stop. That's a missed opportunity.
Totally. You need to elaborate, give context, maybe add an example. Sophie did this perfectly when she talked about breaking tasks into smaller steps and mentioned taking breaks.
Speaking of examples, let's talk about the STAR method that Sophie used without even mentioning it.
Oh, good catch. When David asked about a challenge, she described the situation, the campaign with low engagement, the task. They needed to fix it. The action. They analyzed and adjusted, and the result, 40% increase.
And here's a grammar point that trips people up: using past tenses correctly when telling stories. Sophie consistently used past simple for completed actions. We launched, we noticed, we analyzed.
Yes, a common mistake is mixing tenses. People say things like, "So we launch a campaign and then we are noticing the engagement is low." That sounds really unnatural.
Another grammar point: modal verbs for politeness. Sophie said, "I'd like to improve," not "I want to improve." She said, "Would you expect," not "do you expect."
Those little words make a huge difference in how polite and professional you sound. Could, would, might. These are your friends in interviews.
Now, something really subtle that I loved. Sophie asked questions at the end, but notice how she asked them?
Right. She didn't just say, "What are the hours?" or "How much vacation do I get?" She asked about success metrics and collaboration style. That shows she's thinking about performance, not just benefits.
Exactly. The questions you ask reveal your priorities. Always ask questions that show you're already imagining yourself succeeding in the role.
One more thing about body language. Even though we couldn't see it in our script, this matters so much on video calls.
Absolutely. Make sure your camera is at eye level. Look at the camera when speaking, not at your own image on screen. And smile. People can hear a smile in your voice.
And please check your tech before the interview. Sophie handled the camera issue smoothly, but imagine if she couldn't figure it out for 5 minutes.
Oh, that would have been painful. Also, having a neutral background and good lighting makes you look more professional. These details matter when you're competing with other candidates.
Last point, ending strong. Sophie didn't just say, "Okay, bye." She thanked David, expressed enthusiasm, and was polite until the very last second.
Because the interview isn't over until that call ends. I've heard of people who relaxed too much at the end and said something that changed the interviewer's mind.
Always stay professional until you've completely disconnected. And then maybe wait 5 more seconds just to be sure.
True. So, to recap for our listeners, use softening language, elaborate on your answers, structure stories with clear examples, watch your grammar especially with tenses, ask thoughtful questions, and maintain professionalism throughout.
And remember, remote interviews are now the norm. Your communication skills aren't just important, they're everything.
Practice these techniques, record yourself if you can, and get comfortable with video calls. These skills will serve you for years to come.
All right, so that wraps up today's episode. If you found this helpful, do us a huge favor and hit that like button.
Yes, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got so much more content coming your way.
Seriously, your support means everything to us. Every subscription tells us we're on the right track.
And remember, landing that dream job isn't about being perfect. It's about being prepared and authentic.
You've got the tools now, so go out there and show them what you're capable of.
We believe in you.
All right, everyone, until next time.
Take care and good luck with those interviews.
Bye.
Bye-bye.